Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you felt rushed or hurried? Might have been this morning. Maybe you were driving somewhere. Maybe recently you were trying to clear 5 gazillion emails. Or maybe you were trying to fit 10 or 50 things into a day that realistically only had room for 5 or 6. Now, here's another question. Were you actually short of time, or did you simply feel short of time? Because they are not the same thing. Now, before you kind of maybe think, oh, here we go, I'm not going to listen to this stupid episode, bear with me. I think this episode is worth your time because I suppose in doing what I'm doing over nearly 30 years now, I've met some people running very large companies, in some cases, multiple companies, who rarely seemed hurried. But I've also then met people with relatively little pressure, little on their plate, who actually seemed rushed all the time. They just didn't have enough hours in the day for some reason, which suggests something interesting to me anyway, which is that maybe hurry isn't actually caused by our circumstances. Maybe hurry is something inner, a habit of mind. And what I'm pointing to today is that in my experience, most people, I think, assume hurry comes from having too much to do in not enough time. But I don't think that's the full truth. I think in my experience, hurry seems to come from mentally living somewhere other than where you are right now. You know, the body can be here, but maybe the mind is already in the next meeting, or the mind is already writing the next email or thinking about a problem, or maybe it's worrying about next week or next month. And when the mind races ahead of life, I think what seems to happen is a feeling of hurry gets created from that racing ahead of life. It's not because reality is moving too fast, even though it seems like it might be. It's because something else is moving fast, which is our thinking. And one of the things I've realized over the years is that there is a massive difference between moving quickly, getting lots done, and feeling hurried while you're doing it. They are not the same thing, and they don't always have to go together. The reality is that you can act decisively, move quickly, and execute effectively without the psychological experience of hurry. You've probably had that experience yourself. You can act decisively, be very effective, maybe in a flow state. You don't feel the same level of hurriedness. Key to that really is how you're using your attention, and especially using your focus on one thing at a time, or simply just being more here. Now think about maybe driving somewhere when you're running late. Most people, I think, immediately, without realizing it, leave the present moment, and then their mind races ahead. It starts thinking things like, what will happen when I arrive? What will they think of me? What if traffic gets worse and I get held up? What if I'm even later than what I told them I was going to be as I'm delayed? But meanwhile, none of that thinking gets them there any faster. The car is still traveling at exactly the same speed, but inside them, internally, their experience now has become stressful. One of the things I noticed after my mother passed away a few weeks ago was how everything slowed down. And for a few days, there was just nowhere else to be. There was no rushing. There was no trying to get ahead. There was just conversations with family, friends, stories. Because we're Irish, there was lots of tea. And then there was presence. And what surprised me wasn't so much the grief which was there, it was how peaceful it felt to simply be where I was. It kind of reminded me that much of the hurry that we experience in life isn't actually being imposed on us. It's being generated internally. Now you might think, well, hang on, Shane, you felt that because you were taking time out, you were forced to take time out, your schedule was completely wiped. And it was. I was still getting things done, but I did see something different about it. I did see that whatever level of hurriedness I would experience at times, I could see more clearly that actually I could also be in a mode where I could be busy getting things done without feeling that sense of hurry. What was the difference? Creating it through thought. And I think when you kind of live in that hurried state for so long, we mistake it for reality. not a habit of mind. And that is what it is. Now, if you could think of hurry like having your foot on the accelerator while the car is neutral, the engine is revving, vroom, vroom. That's my special effects machine. Vroom, vroom. Like lots of noise, lots of energy being burned, lots of fuel being used up, but you're not actually getting anywhere faster. In fact, you're going nowhere. And I think that's what mental hurry often feels like. You're kind of like lots of psychological movement, but very little practical movement. So before I do my usual and give you some questions to consider, I just want to give you a little note as well. I suppose, a plug for myself. I have two books, The Inner CEO and Inspire Me. And The Inner CEO is on Audible and Spotify. And a few months ago, I created an audio version of Inspire Me, which was my first book. That's now available on Audible. And Inspire Me is a collection of very inspiring quotes with some stories, insights, questions, and also actions to challenge you. So if you like audiobooks, and it's what I like about it, Inspire Me, is that you can just dip in and out anywhere and you get some inspiration for your work, for your life, your relationships, your health. There's kind of 15 areas of life that the book covers. And if I do say so myself, it's quite good. So some questions to sit with. Three questions. Where in your life do you feel most hurried right now? And maybe step back and think, maybe you're not, maybe there's nowhere, but there's probably usually some place. Maybe it's just a habit. Maybe your entire life is you're feeling hurried. Second question is, but how much of that hurry is coming from your circumstances, your situation, and how much do you think is coming from thought? Or have you even ever considered that it might be coming from thought? And what would change if you brought your attention fully back to what is actually right in front of you right now? And I suppose I need to be clear with this, that I'm not saying on any level that you don't still focus on having momentum. You don't still focus on getting things to move along, especially if you have a team. No, I'm not saying any of that. In fact, actually, what I've seen more and more with my clients and in my own life is that the less hurry that I have, in many ways, the faster I get, the more I can get through, the more I can create. And hurry brings in something unwelcome generally when it comes to clarity and performance and leadership, which is tension. Tension is not good, and hurry creates tension. Tension, bad for clarity, bad for performance, bad for leadership. So think about those three questions. And I guess what I'm kind of saying today is that life will always contain busy periods. There will always be deadlines. The deadlines are good. There'll always be responsibilities, I guess, pressure. But hurry is optional because hurry is a feeling. And hurry isn't created by how much you have to do. It's created by where your attention goes, and your attention in particular that goes on to hurried thinking or reacting. And the moment you come back to where you are and step out of the hurry thoughts that bring the hurry feeling, well, then the feeling of hurry begins to loosen. And to me, hurry is nothing more than a bad habit. It's not a scheduling problem. It's not an amount of work problem. To me, it's a state of mind problem. I've seen it in myself. I can still see it in myself at times. I can definitely see it in my clients. And what's the solution? Well, I think the solution of all hurry is to live more in the present moment. I think it's impossible to feel hurried when you become less consumed with what needs to be done and more interested in using each moment to its fullest. Is it easy? No. But I think, is it possible? Absolutely. And I think the truth is that you can have a full life, a busy full life, getting lots of things done, experiencing lots of things without having a hurried mind. And without having that hurried mind, I think it's less stressful, which means it's more enjoyable. And also by default, then it's more creative. And in my experience, it's much better for your performance, your clarity, and your leadership. That's it for this week. Ciao for now.